Hyundai and Volvo, two brands that never would have been compared 10 years ago. But now with electric vehicles, these two, luxury and mainstream, they're on the same level. This is the Volvo EX30 and the Hyundai IONIQ 5. And in their top trims, around $50,000 to $60,000, similar battery sizes, similar range, but really, there's only one clear winner. So let's find out which is which. The EX30 was revealed in the United States in 2023. Car tariffs from the Biden and Trump administrations delayed the on-sale date well into 2025. That's because this EX30 was imported from China, and after Volvo switched production to Belgium, more tariffs came on the EU. The IONIQ 5 has been out since 2022, and for 2025, Hyundai moved all US models except the N from Korea to Georgia. And yet the Hyundai, not the Volvo, is pricier. Volvo doesn't make a compact EV. It makes two subcompacts. That's the EX30 and the XC40 Recharge, which is now called the EX40. Anything above that, the new EX90, is a mid-size three-row. So that's why we have this car here today. It is quite stubby. The wheels are all the way to the corners. A Volvo is maximizing interior space. As a small hatchback, this car is so easy to park, and I actually like generally the way it looks. The Thor's Hammer LEDs on the front, you got the nice big Volvo logo there. Other than that, you really don't know it's truly a Volvo. Nice big wheels, these are 19 inches. It's a clean design, it's pretty simple. I like that. And that logo there, 70 years, that's 70 years of Volvo in the United States. And this yellow reminds me of the 850 T5R, that limited edition turbocharged wagon and sedan that Volvo sold in very limited numbers in a very similar shade. Hyundai styled the IONIQ 5 like no other Hyundai and no other car. This is a 1980s Lancia, like a hatchback, a retro vibe that really isn't replicated anywhere else. I like that. You either dig it or you don't. I like it a lot. It's boxy, it's square, it's kind of robotic, digital in a way that's almost analog, like the old stuff from the 1980s. That's the entire point. It didn't really change much for 2025, except there's some new front and rear bumpers. There's a new rear wiper. That was a customer complaint. Hyundai has added that. There's some new wheel designs, but this is the same car. All the edges, the pop-out door handles. It's clean, it's edgy. Hyundai, who knows what they're gonna do next, but right now, this is unlike anything else that's on the road. The Hyundai is the significantly larger car overall. Wheelbase, 14 inches. Length, more than 16 inches. And 2 extra inches in width and height. The Volvo is more like the first generation Hyundai Kona. It's a subcompact. The electric part of the Volvo is really good. There's only one trim, it's called the Twin Performance. That means 2 motors with 422 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, and the battery size is relatively small, 69 kilowatt hours. Estimated range by the EPA, roughly about 250 miles. So for that size battery, it's actually pretty good. Charging speed, though, isn't. It's only rated just above 150 kilowatts, whereas the IONIQ 5 can go well over 200. Plus, it's a native Tesla NAC system, so it can charge even quicker. And in our tests, the IONIQ 5 charged really fast, actually at the advertised speeds of going from, say, 10 to 80% in 20-25 minutes. This Volvo is about, I would say, 80 kilowatts, 90 kilowatts tops. It's nowhere near the advertised rate for DC charging. Now, in addition to everything being simplified in the EX30, that means there's no driving modes. The standard one is generally pretty comfortable. It's only when you go into the settings, and there's multiple settings, I'm already in it now, you have to tap Performance All-Wheel Drive, and that engages both electric motors to be engaged all the time, as opposed to primarily just a single one. So the performance there, really at any speed, is awesome. It certainly is quicker than the IONIQ 5, but it's also louder. There's not a lot of insulation in here. These mirrors are small, and yet I'm hearing quite a lot of wind noise around them. Volvo has 3 levels of steering effort. It's also in the touchscreen. I'm on the firmest setting, and honestly, it feels very light, so it's kind of weird. There's really hardly any feedback, but there definitely is a lot of immediacy when you turn. And driving it, yeah, it's very easy to see out of. The windows are large. It's generally a comfortable driving position. But the real issue here is just driving the EX30. Because there's no instrument panel, I have to look all the time at this screen. A lot of the controls are actually further down here. So if I glance for just a little bit to change, say, the fan speed, at some point I'll usually get a warning from the steering wheel here because it's tracking my eyes that I'm not looking at the road. But everything I have to do is here, not here. And versus the IONIQ 5, the EX30 is actually much lighter. It's around 700 pounds from trim to trim. And that's noticeable, not just in terms of the length and the mass, but in the way this car handles. It is pretty good. The IONIQ is also great, but this Volvo, given this size, it's definitely nimble, not only easier to park, but easier to place. The suspension is also pretty compliant. These are 19-inch tires. Bumps soak up pretty well. Again, there's no adaptive dampers. There's nothing fancy going on in the structure. And as a Volvo, yes, I know that the structure of this car is generally pretty good. Volvo absolutely is known for that. So as an EV, as a car, I can enjoy the EX30, but driving it as a car, it just fails. It really does. The fact that I can't see anything here, I'm constantly looking at this screen for absolutely everything, but really it's just so asinine having to drive a car and all of your basic needs are completely unmet. Even if I just want to lower the rear windows, I have to tap something, and it's touch sensitive, so I have to look down and make sure I hit it. Then I press the switch like that. But then I have to tap this again to put down that window. In that time, I've probably traveled thousands of feet. This is absolutely against what Volvo stands for. And I don't care what Volvo is going to try to say to sell you this car, it is against all of their principles since their founding. So that's really what offends me about the EX30. It's the whole philosophy of this car. This is not Volvo. It may have the badge, it may have the structural safety, and it certainly has the performance to compete. But as a car, built by a company that was founded on safety, it's everything but. Between these two cars, honestly, the Volvo is crazy fast. No one really asked for that, but it's cool. So that part is definitely a good quality of the EX30. The brakes are also good. So why can't the rest of the car be this good? Acceleration is not as explosive as the EX30, but there's still plenty of power. 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque. I think that's plenty. And as a regular car, you're more than going to keep up with traffic. You can easily pass slower cars. And if you want the performance version, well, you spend another 10 grand or so and get the IONIQ 5N. That is a crazy car we have reviewed. It is wild. Just try it, but completely unnecessary. In this class, the comfort and the quietness, there's so much more insulation in this IONIQ 5 versus the EX30. Everything feels quieter. And that adds not only to your long distance or short distance comfort, but just luxury. Hyundai's not a luxury brand. Could have fooled me with this car. There's also more choices. If you're buying the IONIQ 5, you can go as little as just under 170 horsepower to all the way to the end where you're getting over 640. And for 2025, the battery sizes are a little larger. So the base model has a 63 kilowatt hour, which is just under what the Volvo has. And this one is now 84. And because the battery is bigger, that means the range is also longer. In this model, it's about 269 miles, but the top dual motor, the all-wheel drive trims, can do about 290, and if you're getting the rear-wheel drive with the largest battery, it's about 318, so that definitely is a big difference. The Volvo is more efficient, this being heavier, about 700 pounds heavier with this limited trim. MPGe, not as good as the EX30. This is a bigger vehicle, but it's still pretty good. Charging speed is also massively improved versus the Volvo. This car charges significantly quicker. It really does. And as an EV, that may be the biggest deciding factor. The IONIQ 5 feels more substantial because it's heavier, yes, not too heavy even for an EV. It just feels weightier, from the steering to the way the suspension feels, just more compliance all the time, but yet very nimble. It's not top heavy. Hyundai says this is an SUV or a crossover. That's how they say it on their website, but this really is a hatchback. So is that Volvo. These really aren't SUVs. That's just a marketing term. It's a hatchback, it's a car. And as such, both of them handle pretty well. Again, the Volvo is sprightlier because of its size, also because of the extra power. But even in sport mode on this IONIQ 5, you're getting quick responses, just not as sharp as the Volvos. To me though, I would sacrifice some of that warp speed feeling. It's great and all, but day to day, the IONIQ 5 just feels like a higher quality vehicle, from the way the steering turns, just everything is just more, I would say, fluid. All the controls, from the brakes, to the steering, to the suspension, to the response of the throttle. I think it's a better balanced EV. Plus, if I want to switch driving modes, button right on the steering wheel. I don't have to go into the touchscreen. It's such an easier car to drive. For that alone, it's not distracting. I have window switches right where you'd expect them to. 4 of them, because there's 4 windows. It's just the things that you shouldn't have to think about, you don't have to think about in this Hyundai. And that, to me, makes this car already a better car before you even start driving it. If you sit in an IONIQ 5, you're gonna feel comfortable. Yes, there's screens, but they're not overwhelming. If you go into these menus, they're clear, it responds well, and you don't have to access the screen all the time when you're driving. And Volvo has forgotten about that. Hyundai is only getting better with every software iteration, so boggles me, but this is the car, whether parked or driving on the highway, going in the city, this is the one I want to be in. It makes me more confident as a driver, and honestly, yeah, I'm getting a heck of a lot more for my money. A little more fun in the corners, actually. Feel the torque vectoring working in the back axle. I like that. Tightens it up a little bit. Belies the mass of this car. And the braking is good. I would say for braking, the Volvo and the Hyundai are pretty evenly matched. For 60 grand, the IONIQ 5 in limited trim, yes, it could be nicer, but the fit and finish throughout this lineup, definitely superior to the Volvos. And even though this is a nice open cockpit, well, guess what? I actually have storage in here I can put in. There's map pockets that are large enough and surfaces that aren't bone hard. The Hyundai has better screens, but not just that. There's buttons, shortcut buttons for different functions, touch-sensitive climate controls, more buttons for the seats, actual mirror switches. All of these things make the IONIQ 5 not only easier to live with, but it's just nicer to look at. Another benefit of the IONIQ 5 is that there's actually a leg rest on the driver's seat, and the recline goes all the way back to these rear seats. So if you just want to relax, whether you're charging or not, there's very few cars anywhere that will let you do this in the driver's seat. The good parts, in classic Volvo fashion, are these seats. Ergonomic, supportive, they look good, really nice fabric quality. There's also in the center console the option to hide these cup holders. If you push that out, now you have them. Slide them back in one at a time, now you don't. And down here, there's actually some covered storage bins with extra USB ports. That's nice because you get the idea of an open concept, but also can store some things away. But there's no open console here. It's nice, but you can't open it. The material quality is absolutely horrendous. The lower plastics all over the doors and the dash are hard. They honestly feel like they're out of a Rubbermaid trash bin. No joke. The rest of this kind of looks like exposed duct tape. It's horrible, it looks like it comes off an Amazon package, and if you think I'm exaggerating, you have to get inside the EX30, and you have to understand that Volvo interiors have always been high quality, soft surfaces, some of the best materials you could get for not only design and luxury, but safety. I own a '98 Volvo. That really cannot be compared to today's Volvos, but I've driven over 17 years dozens of new Volvo models all the time. And this car, truly, among Volvos and any brand, has one of the worst interiors I've ever seen. And it's not just because it's minimalistic and simplistic. That's just another way of being absolutely cheap for no other reason than cost cutting, and this is extremely, extremely disappointing. There's an unfair amount of backseat room here. That's because the IONIQ 5 is a larger car, but really, any way you look at it at this price, it's great. You got the glass roof with a shade, so you can always get blocked by the sun. And now for 2025, there's extra reinforcements in the side impact beams on these doors and rear side airbags. The back seat reminds me of the first generation Hyundai Kona. It's really tight back here, but this car is truly meant to be a subcompact. The seats are okay. Yes, this is tight, but again, don't care about that. Window switches, strangely, are over here. That's not as bad as those in the front, but it's very basic back here. And this does come out on purpose. You can, I guess, take this with you if you choose. And that's basically all the amenities you do get back in the EX30. There's just over 12 cubic feet behind the rear seats of the Volvo. Behind the rear seats of this Hyundai, there's nearly as much total cargo space as the EX30. Check out the numbers. Over 58 here, just under 28 on the Volvo. Now, both these cars do have frunks, if you want to call it that. They open, but the only thing you're going to get is a tiny bit of drawer space, essentially. If you had like a desk at home, that's about all you're getting in both of these cars. The Volvo, though, does have more under tray storage in the back than the Hyundai, a couple cubic feet. The Hyundai has two 12.3-inch screens, neatly integrated here. I like the fact that, well, it responds well, it's easy to place. I can customize all the tiles. If I go into setup, yes, there's a lot of sub-menus here, but it's really meant for when you're parked. And even if you were driving, once you get used to this, yes, you have to go through all these menus, but look how easy it is to read. You can also increase the text size, which is something that most cars don't let you do. And if you don't want to go into the touchscreen, all these shortcut buttons. There's seek buttons, volume, media, another button you can customize, touch-sensitive climate controls, imagine that. And below here in the console, heated seats, heated steering wheel, cameras, right? This is just stuff you want to have right at hand. There's more buttons on the left side, on the steering wheel, on the stalks, there's window switches. This is just so much better overall. Plus, when you use the stalk, you get cameras that show your blind spot. On these upper trims, that is such a lifesaver. On the Hyundai, there's just useful features and they're done really well. The frustrations start as soon as you sit down. Now, in many cars with automatic ignitions like EVs, Lucids, Teslas, the vehicle will be automatically operational, but not the EX30. I can't even turn the wheel. So even though I'm seated here and the key is here, I actually have to step on the brake and put the car in drive or reverse. Then everything is now operational, but I didn't want to go anywhere, I just want to park. That's the first annoyance. Everything else, for example, is in the controls here. Now, this is laid out nicely, but again, this is hard to use when you're driving, or even just while you're parked. Mirrors. I know this is a feature in Rivian, but it's not really a great feature. You have to do this, go back to the steering wheel. Oh, if you want to actually open the windows, I gotta go down here. If I want the rear windows, I have to tap this, but you can't tell if you actually hit that or not. Now that's doing the left rear window. If you want to go back to the front, you have to tap this again. No force feedback, and you do that. Now, beyond that, there's no way to turn the car off. So then you have to go into settings, controls, car modes, and then turn off the car. That's also really crazy. Now, when you're parked, yes, there's lots of menus here. You can adjust all sorts of things. That's very helpful, but everything is just really, it's laid out terribly. So you have temperature down here, but to do the fan speed in the direction, I have to go here. Switching back and forth while you're driving, looking over here constantly. Now, Google Maps is good, the apps are good, the layout, the speed, all of that is great. Cameras look good. They do, right? You got all the settings that you want there. I like that. Really though, the major issue here has nothing to do with layout. It's the fact that every single last control that you really need, including lights, right in the touchscreen. That is not progress, that's just being cheap. The 2025 Hyundai IONIQ 5 starts around $43,000. There are 5 trims. I tested the limited all-wheel drive, just under $60,000. The 2025 Volvo EX30 starts around $46,000. There's a single trim, the twin motor performance. As tested with the Ultra package, $48,000. Volvo includes 4 years of maintenance, Hyundai 3 years. The Hyundai is the clear winner in this comparison, and it's not because it costs more or drives further per charge or that it's roomier inside. Hyundai has the execution, not just as an electric vehicle, but as a car. The safety, the technology, the design, this is a car that will delight you, and it also is livable, practical. The Volvo has absolutely none of those things. It has some nice style to it, yes, on the outside, and it's faster than this IONIQ 5, but that is about it. Hyundai has the execution and the quality, and they keep on proving it. Volvo needs to step up its game big time. What do you think? And what electric vehicle are you going to consider? Let us know. Go to CarGurus.com and subscribe. We will see you next time.